Testing. How about that? I hate StreamYards with a passion. I need to get smarter in order to use something else. I just started off the stream with StreamYard screwing everything up and going back to defaults, things that we have set. Both me, Neosh, and everybody who uses have set. And now we're having to go in and redo things like the sound has been set for forever, and it goes to default sound that doesn't exist. I don't know what's going on. You StreamYards, but stop. Start all again. So the part you didn't hear, Happy Ring of Honor Day. Yeah, I gotta watch Ring of Honor. Like I was telling before, I wish they would have gotten a TV deal. One of the problems that Ring of Honor had before is Sinclair Broadcasting, who owned them, didn't care, and they were on at awful times at nights. But the first thing I said is the reason why you guys haven't seen me in a while is because I've been busy. And to be honest with you, there are some things that were going on around our associations and in community that I just didn't want to be anywhere near. So I kind of stayed clear and stayed under the radar until some time passed. So now we're back. We'll be streaming today. We'll be streaming tomorrow as far as our Star Trek Weekly show. We'll be discussing Picard Season 3, Episode 3. I think it's Episode 3. Excellent episode. Where I'm actually going to be interviewing one of the writers somewhere down the line after all his episodes are done. But this episode was so good, I didn't want it to end. We'll also be going over Star Trek Discovery ending with Season 5 and too many people thinking that that's a failure. While I was still muted, one of the things I said, or while I was not on the microphone, if you think Star Trek Discovery ending at 5 seasons is a failure, you don't understand the current landscape of streaming versus network TV. 5 years is an eternity for a streamer. That is an undisputed success. People are making the mistake of comparing it to network TV, which has a different revenue stream, different revenue backup. And, the 7-year model that used to go on with the previous Star Trek shows, other than Star Trek Enterprise, which got screwed up by old Trek fans, but that's a different stream. But 5 years is a success, especially when you figure they're making room for other shows. Strange New Worlds, I don't think is going to last that long. I love Strange New Worlds, but the dynamics of streaming and the financials of streaming, 5 years is probably about it. Stranger Things, a bazillion people watch Stranger Things. It's ending in Season 5. Season 5 is forever when it comes to streaming. So that is not a failure. That's a success. All right. So that's where I was before somebody really let me know that my sound was out. Thank you, Slipknot. Yeah. The mic. Well, like I said, something goes on with StreamYard where it defaults to the basic stuff that's on your computer instead of all the plugins that you've added. It is what it is. Got you that. Got you. All right. Is there a sound, dude? No mime streams. I'm not that smart. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I got it now. You guys should still be able to hear me. You should be able to hear me now as of 12:39. All right. Yeah, sorry. I didn't have the chat up. I had the bring-in screen when I first got you in because I had no reason to expect I didn't have any sound. Oh well. All right, yes. Hooray for small victories. How you doing? We we hear you. Oh wow, typo. All right, cool. So finally, so yeah, I don't know why it went so long. Earth calling William. Anyone? Very funny. It just jumped in then. Yeah, we have sound. William, I don't think TK really cares about Ring of Honor. He just bought the company because he has that type of money, which is basically FU money. I don't know, man. I mean, he seems as much a wrestling fan as I am. In fact, that may be to his detriment sometimes. He's more of a fan than he is a promoter, and he gets a little bit too involved in a product. I do think he likes it, and it's a good business decision because it gives you a different angle at your product. The only thing is he needs to get him on TV. That's the one thing that's been holding Ring of Honor back in its entire existence. Its entire 21-year existence was the TV deal. It's the reason why TNA and Impact were able to thrive is because no matter what you thought of their product, even me, I don't have TNA or Impact here in Vegas, but a lot of the country does because I don't have access here. Because actually, no, we do have it here in Vegas. It's just that Cox Cable, Cox, you suck. They don't have the channel, but DirecTV, everybody else has a channel. But with Ring of Honor, you have to rely on the app, and their pay-per-views are on the app. So that was the biggest thing when Sinclair owned them, is they were so cheap. They didn't care about the product. I don't know why they ever bought it. But Tony Khan, I can't believe that he sat down with Warner Media, and Warner Media is giving him a new show. So Warner Media and Tony Khan definitely have a good relationship. I don't understand how you don't get at least 60 minutes for Ring of Honor. But it is what it is, you know. No, I have not. That's another one I need to put up on the list. I've heard of it, though. Hey, how you doing, Anthony? I wish Star Trek. Okay, Aaron. I wish it would too, but it's just not realistic. I don't think streaming shows in general, for the most part. I mean, you could probably name a handful of shows that last that long. And granted, streaming hasn't been around, forever, but it's been around for 10 years. And about 7 or 8 of that has been streaming platform shows. I mean, because in 2016, that's when I think how long has Stranger Things been? When did it come in? So it's been a while. It's just that these things are so expensive now. And when you're talking about the difference between a network TV show, which is what all the other 7-year shows are on, and a streaming network, streaming networks justify their expenditure based on how many subscribers that they have. Whereas a network, there's a lot more money involved. Because you're not just talking about a streamer, you're talking about cable providers. So even on the basic network TV shows or cable TV shows, there's a guaranteed stipend, a guaranteed amount of money that company gets, Viacom or Showtime gets, just by being carried by Comcast, Cox, all the cable companies, and then you have your ad revenue. Your ad revenue is huge because you're talking about reaching out to a demographic of people who watch the shows, and even if it's not going directly towards that particular Star Trek show, that channel's demographic is what draws the overall. They get a cut of that. So if you're putting, when you were putting Star Trek on TV during the height, the 90s, it was drawing a really good rating and it had ad revenue leverage. So you had that money. And, that's millions. We're talking about millions before you even, start your production budget. So these shows that last that long have a justifiable budget. And another thing, and this is real critical for you guys to remember when any show it is, no matter whether it's Star Trek or anything else on network TV, once you reach a certain threshold with network TV, you're guaranteed syndication rights. So that means, if Fox or Channel 13 KCOP in LA, wherever they whatever network aired it originally, once it reaches a certain episode count, they get money on top of that because now it's in syndication and you can sell it to other networks. You can't do that with streaming. So 5 years is about as much as you can financially justify. And I think 5 years is a success. 5 years is a success. I mean, like I said, I don't think any of the new Trek shows are going to last more than 4 or 5 years. And that's not a failure. That's just a modern era. Now, when we talk about getting on HBO and things like that, we're even your best TV, Sopranos was 6 seasons, Game of Thrones is an outlier. But most of your shows like that, once you start moving away from the ad revenue tier to the, the subscriber tier, then you're talking about having to justify a budget. And a lot of that is going to go to the big dogs. Game of Thrones is like $15 million an episode, but they can justify its draw. So I don't think we're going to ever get a 7. I could be wrong. I don't think any of the current Trek shows that are going to be on streaming are going to last more than 4 or 5 years. Now, if we get, with the consolidation and the merger, we get things going with, CBS or something like that, where you start getting Trek on prime time or Trek in syndication or things like that. Well, with those kind of episodes, then you're probably talking about a different business situation. But yeah, Star Trek Discovery was a success on several different levels. It was the first Trek to go back on TV since 2005. So we went almost 12 years without Star Trek. It broke through. And wherever you think about the series, it broke through. We don't have Strange New Worlds without Discovery. We probably don't have Picard without Discovery. So there's no loss here. It's all success. Mice, hey, Mando, William, what's your take on episode 1? On Mando, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was great. It took me a while to understand why they were telling me everything about him taking off his mask and, why he had to go bathe in the waters of Mandalore and all that. And then I was watching Cameo the other day and somebody brought it up. Not everybody watched Book of Boba Fett where all that was explained. So they didn't want to have you have to go back and watch a different show just to get you the gist of what was going on. I thought the opening with, the giant alligator thing was pretty cool because I thought I was watching a flashback until I saw the Naboo starfighter come in and just wipe it out. I thought that, once again, there were some common sense issues with they're fighting this big alligator thing and they can fly. They can literally fly. So instead of flying away, getting the kids away and regrouping and coming back and nailing that thing with their weapons or just keeping it at bay, they stand there and fight it with the kids in danger. I didn't understand that. And I mean, it made for a much dramatic entrance when obviously, Mandalorian comes in and just starts blasting. So it was kind of cool. Other than that, I cannot stand these 35 minutes episodes. It was good enough, but once again, it needed another 15 minutes. But you know what? It's probably going to get better. There's a lot that we have to find out with this season. So far so good. It was okay. It wasn't great. Okay. I would probably give it, a 7 out of 10 is fair. I would give it a solid 7. So I'm right there with you. William, thought on Rocky, Poltergeist, and RoboCop franchise all expected to be continue at MGM from Amazon. RoboCop, I don't think RoboCop is that relevant anymore. We literally, back when RoboCop first came out, cyborg and drone technology, AI was just, a thing of imagination. Now we use it every day. RoboCop. Certain science fiction things belong in the 80s. I know they did a reboot of RoboCop, but I thought it sucked, but that's just my opinion. Poltergeist. If you're going to go ahead and make a Poltergeist movie, just make a good paranormal movie that's, I don't see a reason to remake that, but you know what? Rocky, out of all of those, Rocky is probably the one where a lot of cash can be made. I know a lot of people are like, well, how can you go forward without a Sylvester Stallone? It doesn't have to be a Rocky reboot. In fact, I think that would be stupid to recast and do a younger Rocky. Rocky in general is a franchise that can continue without Rocky. Creed 3 is going to make a boatload of money. All right. And there's no Sylvester Stallone in there. He's in Creed 2, but he's not the star of Creed 2. He's not the star of Creed 1. He's the best supporting guy. But look at the box office at the end of the weekend and see how Creed 3 does. I could see more. I could see another Creed movie. I could see other boxers coming in there. I think the Rocky franchise, because of Creed, is stronger than just what Sylvester Stallone represents. So out of those 3, that's probably the one that it's actually bankable. All right. William, thought of following acquisition of MGM, Amazon is looking to prioritize Stargate, Tom Cruise as Legally Blonde. Those last 2 are I have no opinion on those. I saw those movies. Stargate, it depends on how you do it. The problem with Stargate is it's been branded. It's been branded to the point where I don't know if people have gotten away from Richard Dean Anderson, Amanda Tapping, all those people that made that show what it was for 10 years. If they're going to go ahead and do a continuation of Stargate, that would probably work. If they're going to try to reboot Stargate, it took too much time and effort. It took 10 years of SG-1, 5 years of Atlantis, and then they only gave Universe 1 season. That's because Sci-Fi Channel was falling off the wagon. I don't know if they're going to be willing to put in the work to build the brand that those people did, especially when those people are all still able to play those characters. So either they're going to have to do it as a continuation, or and it's continuing along the same lines, or they run the risk of not being able to brand it in that way. So, but like I said, Amazon's got money to blow. So yeah. I watched AEW. What are my thoughts on tag team so far with Brock Anderson and Brian Pillman Jr.? So far, so good. They're still a little bit green. You can tell they're second generation wrestlers. Obviously, Brock Anderson is Arn Anderson's son, and Brian Pillman Jr., the late great Brian Pillman. They're good wrestlers. They just got to get used to each other, in my opinion. I think as they go on, they'll be fine. But right now, I can clearly tell, and that's because I watch way too much wrestling, that the timing isn't there necessarily, but that comes with time. I think they'll be fine. Hey, Tron Promo, what's going on? William Thought and Dan Baloney directing the ending scene of Rogue One with Darth Vader, according to Rogue One is my second favorite Star Wars movie, and the last 20 minutes of Rogue One are exquisite. So that's great. That's good. Good on him if especially that particular scene where Vader gets in that ship and just starts cutting people up. I mean, that's in my life. Every Darth Vader I've seen was a slow old dude moving with the best technology that we had. Darth Vader in Rogue One, where he gets in there and just wipes all those rebels out. That's Darth Vader. That's probably one of the most iconic scenes I've ever seen. Well, what the hell are you doing live? I got to work in the morning. Sorry. It's been a while. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been on, and I didn't want to have atrophy. I didn't want to have the muscles get all weak, but like I said, I don't know, I won't go without going into details. So certain when I'm on my own network and I'm on this network, and when certain things go down, it's like I said, it's by association. I just certain things I just want to do, like not be near. So like I said, and plus I was busy, so I decided to go on live tonight just to break that pattern. The perfect example of what we're talking about is Netflix. Besides Stranger Things, most of their shows cut off at the max between 2 to 3 seasons. Yeah. Mindhunter, one of the best things Netflix ever put out. I couldn't even get a third season out of that. Yeah, so Stranger Things premiered in 2016. It's got 5 seasons spread over 7 years. They don't need to be realistic to be watchable. You got to be careful, though, because if you're going to ask somebody to suspend their belief, it got to be going somewhere, I guess. Oh, damn, Anthony. William thought on Disney could potentially acquire full rights back of Hulk and Neymar as early as January 2024, according to a Wall Street analyst, Jason Besman. That could possibly happen. Universal's not doing anything with it. They haven't done anything solo with Hulk for quite a while. I don't know. I don't even know if Universal cares at this point, so they might just acquire them because I don't know. I don't even know if there's what kind of money they would be willing to spend to get them back. William, for me, I pay mostly for streaming. I have cable, but I don't watch it. I hate that I'm paying for streaming. I'm still forced to watch commercials. I have every streaming channel. I have Apple. I have all of them. I even have Discovery. I even have Discovery Plus and whatever the hell that's going to merge into. But I write them off at the end of the year because there's so much of the stuff that I'm involved in that's on streaming that I have to have them all. Man, I have cable. I have digital cable, so I'm paying up the ass. I'm going to go full tinfoil hat time and say I think the reason why Ring of Honor didn't have a TV deal is because of Jay Briscoe, but I think they will in the future. No, that's not why. Because they could have just, they wouldn't have held it back for one guy. Because you could still have Jay Briscoe with the company and still, not have him necessarily on, on that TV. And he's one guy. The reason why you don't have it's just the brand name of Ring of Honor right now, I guess, and this is two different companies now, didn't dictate a prime slot. And if you're going to do Ring of Honor right, you need to put it on a prime slot. Not 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, not 3 o'clock in the morning on the Shot Network or whatever network it was on NBC, on midnight on Sunday. If you're going to, if he's going to make that investment, he needs to convince somebody with a major, and it's going to have to be TNT. I don't think, even though they didn't want it this time, I don't know if it would have been good business to go to a network when you were in bed with Warner Brothers Discovery. So I think he's got to, if AEW continues to do well and, he can, they continue to want to do business with him, at some point he's got to force that in. But right now, Ring of Honor is, you're just not, in order, once again, when it comes to ad revenue and anything else, in order to put something on network TV, you have to justify the ad revenue to back it up. Otherwise, you're in a CW situation, but that entire network was a write-off. Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't want to write anything off, so I just don't think Ring of Honor is at that level to justify the ad revenue. I don't think they have the audience to justify that yet. But at some point, you're going to have to, and that's why I agree with him constantly bringing Ring of Honor people over to his TNT and TBS shows, because you've got to get the word out there for them. But they're from what I can understand, they're just not there yet. All right, like I told him, if he's streaming at the same time as the drinker. Okay, well, all right, I don't know. What I have been Mr. H. Don't know who Mr. H is. Okay. I have no idea who Mr. H is. All right, William, when it comes to nationally syndicated shows, even cut off 5 to 6 seasons shows like Law and Order and NCIS are rare. They're basically on 20 plus seasons already. Yeah, those are really rare. Those are mutants by comparison. But they're like Big Bang Theory. I mean, there are shows, or Gold Rush. Right? There's a lot of shows that air. They have enough episodes. I think it's not your season count. Maybe I may be wrong. I think it's total episodes, because you need a certain amount of episodes to keep the rotation cycle. And then once you get in syndication, you can syndicate it on several different networks at different times, as long as you're not mirroring the same time window. So syndication is big money. You're basically making money off of money you already made. So that's always a good deal. And streamers just don't have that. Okay, so be that guy. Thoughts on the Affleck directorial rumors with Guns DC plans? I remember we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago when he first announced his slate, and Affleck was rumored to be part of it then. I don't think there's anything bad about that. You have an Academy Award winning filmmaker directing a movie for you. You had me at that. And who knows, we may get the script that he wrote, an amalgamated script with James Gunn going with. But anytime you add that kind of talent, that is not only Academy Award level talent like Ben Affleck is, but somebody who has a regard for Batman in a way that we, connected with. As long as he's behind the director's chair, you have a good chance of getting at least the tone of the type of Batman that he delivered, and possibly what he planned on delivering in the first place. There's no reason why he couldn't take his Brave and the Bold and the Batman family and the things that James Gunn wants and work it into the tone in the script that he was going to. So I think anytime you add that level of filmmaker to your project, it's a good day. All right, yeah, Drinker is pretty popular. He's got over 1 million subs, and also when Mr. H streamed on Friday, people would leave his stream and watch Friday Night Touch. Okay, so I don't know who Mr. H is, and I know who these other guys are, but I got a rule where I try not to bring up other YouTubers, and I try to keep it out of the chat if possible. All right, we already have the Creed series. We already have the Creed series, but once again, I mean, you could go a lot of different places with Creed or a series like it. William Sylvester. You know what? My middle name is Sylvester, so I'm like, how does Anthony Beltre know my middle name, and why is he calling me like that? It's actually William Sylvester Powell Jr., so that's just weird to see those names. Sylvester Stallone did pitch an intriguing idea for a Rocky prequel season set before the original film in 1976, so Amazon could do it. You know what? No more prequels. No more prequels. Let's stay in the present. Okay, so we're gonna go. William thought on John Wick Chapter 4 is projected to open with 60 to 70 million at the domestic box office, which would make it the biggest opening ever for John. That's great, and you know what? Congratulations to them because they took a lot of risk and they started out spending a little bit of money, and then each time they went out there, their box office increased and increased and increased. Now they're to the point where John Wick is a clear winner, and I'm happy for Keanu Reeves because outside of the Matrix, he just wasn't doing a lot. He just wasn't doing a lot, and I'm glad to see him back on a great guy like that back on a franchise that can make this kind of money because it wasn't always a given that John Wick was going to make a lot of money. I mean, it made like 90 and 75 million, but I think the first one, I think it was like 10 million. So each one like really made a huge profit margin. So I'm happy to see them stick with it and then get there. So congratulations to all those guys. Oh, by the way, you locals here in Vegas, I'm going to be sending a lot of you to go see John Wick Chapter 4. So stay tuned to all of our social media, mainly Instagram and Facebook. I may put some on Twitter, but all this weekend long, we're going to be sending people to see a special screening for John Wick, which I think airs on March 14th. So stay tuned. All right. If Amazon does take on RoboCop going full hard, yeah. I don't see any reason why you don't have all 3Ds. I mean, it's not the MCU. I'm not sure, Aaron. I don't know if the Ivan Drago movie became what Creed 2 eventually was. Not sure. All right, William. It would be cool for MGM and Amazon to partner up and do a Tomb Raider TV series. Yeah, I still want another movie with Alicia Vikander. I really like that last Tomb Raider movie, and we just never got another one. It's kind of sucked. Yeah, I think that the OG cast has to at least be around. Like what's his face still needs to be. He could probably still be a 4-star general. Carter was a colonel, a full board colonel last time we saw her, so she should probably be a 2-star by now. um, Daniel Jackson's character should still be around. Teague's character should still be around. I mean, they don't have to be the main people. You can you can hand it over to the next generation, but they need to be there. They need to be there, and it needs to be a continuation of them, in my opinion. William thought of Ben Affleck as rumored to be. I answered that one. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a win for all of us. William, ever listened to Meshuggah? Check out this song, Dear Marriage, if you haven't. It's heavy as fuck. No, I haven't. I just been listening to this Metallica one last night. What's the song I was listening to? It just dropped last night, and it was great. I had to get my surround sound going on. What was It's a couple songs that they released last night. If hold on, where it is? Where is it? 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 Screaming Suicide was okay, but it's not the one I was listening to last night. Hold on, because it was like really good. I mean, it reminded me of Injustice for All. Video. I'm just looking it up. If Darkness Had a Sun. Yeah, it came out the day before on their YouTube channel, and I got the alert for it. Man, I was listening to that, and I like kept over and over and over again. Yeah, I have my own channel. It's the youtube.com. Actually, what's right there? All All right, here's a question. If Clooney isn't a Flash, isn't that kind of the ultimate statement that literally anything in DCU is not possible? Like the Batman and Robin can come back? Yeah, I don't think they'll go that far, though, because it can get crazy and out of hand. Just you watch Alien 3, I'm sorry. I wish I could give you those hour and 45 minutes back. It's grown on me. Yeah, like a fungus. Especially the director's cut. The director's cut's just as fucking horrible. What are you talking about? Only thing I hate is how they killed Hicks and New before. That was mistake number one. That was the first mistake. And I know any alien Ghost basically ignores that. But remember the cardboard dog alien? All that minute they had on that film, and here's cardboard dog alien. Worst in claymation. The effects on that were horrible. The plot was horrible. The ending was horrible. The beginning was horrible. It was a horrible movie. But I'm glad you grew on you. Oh, okay. Cool. William, do you think Disney will go to Universal after they get the rights the Hulk and Neymar? Do you think Iger goes to Universal and asks them for the full they'll work out licensing deals, but I think the licensing deals are already Marvel's to begin with as far as their theme parks because they own those characters. They just don't own the theatrical rights of those characters. So Disney can build a Marvel theme land. They already can. Yeah, Marvel can already build those theme lands with those characters already. And then Universal can try to get DC. Yeah, now that part is cool. I wish we did have a DC theme park. Because to be honest with you, Disney does not make their money from movies. Disney makes their money from theme parks. $38 billion a year. That's a lot of cheese. How you doing, Chappie? All right. William, thought Mahershala Ali was considered for the role of Joel in The Last of Us for the show. That would have been interesting to see how the people will be like, but he's a black guy. Oh. I mean, he's a two-time Academy Award winner. And Joel being black wouldn't have had any, his gender or race doesn't have any play in his story, so I'd go for it. I don't know how well it would be accepted, but hey, it'd be cool. This is according to Box Office Mojo. They're projecting that John Wick 4 might make in between $70 million and $5 million opening weekend. Oh, 70 million. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they built that franchise up to the point where you could realistically see it doing that right now. William Sylvester Stallone is pissed he lost all the rights to Rocky and all the characters he created. Maybe he just doesn't want to be in Creed. All right, so the problem with him is, all right, Sylvester Stallone, in order to get that movie made, Irvin Kershner, all the guys who were in that, I think the director and the producer mortgaged his house to get the money to make that. Yeah, it was Stallone's script and everything else, but it wasn't just him getting that movie made. The people who currently own the rights to that movie are as much part of that movie, those movies in that franchise ever being made as he was. So it's, I don't see where his fight is here. So, Star Trek 4 being, wow. I mean, I hope they get it done soon because right now the narrative problem you have is Strange New World is in that territory. So it's going to be really hard to still the Kelvin's timeline storyline with that unless they're going to make it part of it, which I don't know if that's possible. So they're running out of time, in my opinion. I hope they find a director soon. All the John Wick movies are over the top. They're not like Fast and Furious over the top, but the whole gun fu thing is, I find that very entertaining. JJ said it's the first time since the original reboot that we have a story that feels compelling in the first one. Yeah, because the ones after that were okay, but they weren't great. Well, okay, so 70 million and 95 million. Okay, that's really good for that movie because I don't think they spent a lot of money on John Wick. In fact, what is John Wick's what's John Wick's budget? Chapter 4. Doesn't tell me what the budget here is of it. It usually does, but I'm guessing it's It's not that, I'm guessing about 125 million and making it the most expensive one. Let's see. John Wick Chapter 3 was made for 75 million and it pulled in 327. So I'm guessing that the budget, because it doesn't take a lot to make those movies, it's around 90, which means if it pulls in that, it made its budget the first weekend, which is always good because everything else was gravy. I used to be a fan of okay, so mystery. Cavill. The only one that could really move the needle for me right now will be seeing Henry Cavill in there. I've heard of Greta Van Fleet, but I have not listened to the music, and I have not listened to the other one. Doesn't mean I won't. I just haven't gotten around to it. Beltray, it was announced in January. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, known for Fleabag and Killing Eve, is attached to write Tomb Raider TV project, which is still in development stages. So once I get a release date, then I'll start believing that it's going to happen. Yeah, like I said, I really wish they would have continued on with Alicia Vikander. I really like that movie. Here we go again. You're doing so well, Darth. Repeat. Ride the Lightning is better than And Justice for All. It's not. And Willis, please use your crocodile-sized brain for once. Oh, screw you, dude. Crocodiles actually have pretty big brains for what they are. But fuck you anyway. I know what you're trying to do. And you didn't throw Deckard's on a replicant, even though he is. You didn't want to be wrong on all fronts tonight, Darth Scipio? I do think they are. I think they really need to amp it up, though, because that was a different era, like 8-9 years ago. Now, I think they could really do a good job with them. But once again, their universe has been all over the place. So how can you build themes on, if you want to try to have them all connected, like Marvel has done, you can't have the scattershot universe that DC has. That's a lot of cash. Possibly. $100 million or above. William, I think John Wick 1, the total budget was $25 million. The second was $35 million, and the third was $75 million. I think the fourth is around 70 something. Yeah, which means they already worked out a deal. So Disney's still getting paid through through Universal. Same reason why the Spider-Man ride is there. If I'm correct. Wasn't my favorite movie. The bullshit one where he throws a tank across the desert, it hits another tank, and the guys get out shaking their heads and acting like, wow, aren't we lucky when they all should have been dead? I watch that every now and then. Ooh. Iron Maiden? I'm going to say Somewhere in Time. When was that? Because I think that was my first one I actually purchased. Oh, why is my screen screwing up? Hold on. I got to remind myself some of the albums are Wikipedia. Somewhere, I think it's Somewhere in Time. And if I yeah, it's Somewhere in Time. And I bought that in '86. And the reason why that's one of my favorite albums, I think that was my first metal T-shirt. I think the cover of Somewhere in Time was my first metal T-shirt. Led Zeppelin. Not a big Led Zeppelin fan. Not a hater. Song remains the same. But Iron Maiden, Bruce Dickinson, I was a big fan of them growing up. So. Boy, and why is it that people are so into the whole wokeness and get so angry over diversity like it's the end of the world? I mean, Fox News is saying wokeness. Because the people who spout that shit out of their mouth holes are predominantly, and I'm not going to say exclusively, predominantly people who have been represented all of their life. They've never had to fight for any representation. They were never had to be the first of anything. They were never marginalized. And as the demographics of the country, especially the United States, start to change to the point where we are more now than ever represented as far as cultural, gender, and ethnic lines, that the more certain people see that representation, they cannot comprehend why it's so important to people who had never had that. If you've gone, you're in. So I hear people saying, "Well, putting a black guy in the lead role is woke, just to check a box." All right, so we're 13% of the country. Damn us if we get excited to be representative of that in a role. When it comes to dealing with social issues, most of the people who whine about it have never had to deal with a social issue. If you're not, transgender, if you're not homosexual, if you're not bi, if you're not any of those things, you can't comprehend what it's like not to be represented. And some of these guys just can't understand that. They've lived their lives so long and in that comfort zone where they've never had to fight through any of this stuff. They consider it an affront to their existence, the fact that someone else is fighting for that stuff. Someone else is bringing those issues to the surface. So, and when in the case of people who want to use it to divide people, you have people who think, well, if this is the status quo, a guy like me is being replaced, and no one wants to be replaced. So a lot of it is just pure ignorance, and I hate the word woke. Every time I hear the word woke, I just look at you as if you're a knuckle-jacking Cro-Magnon that probably still thinks he's going to walk off of the earth if he keeps going off the edge. So there's my answer to that. William, who wins a hypothetical fight between Odin, Force, and Darkseid? They're both god level. It depends on who's writing the story. Sorry, that's a cop-out answer. William, thought Warner Brothers reportedly wants Peter Jackson back for upcoming. Yeah, that tells you they're not broke. By the way, everybody who's spitting out that garbage that Warner Brothers is broke, there you go. Because Peter Jackson is not going to come cheap, and neither is any project that he is helming. Good choices. William, I can't stand those ignorant assholes that bring up the wokeness. Yeah, I heard woke all day because people were like, well, Star Trek Discovery is being canceled because it's woke. Tell me that you're illiterate without telling me that you're illiterate. Star Trek's been woke since 1967. If the only difference between 67 and 2023 is we didn't have stupid ass terms like woke to put on things. Yeah, all these Native Americans, Asians, Black people, Hispanic, America. It's the stuff looks like America now, and some people are just against that, I guess. I would say if representation matters, Hollywood should greenlight projects that star people of color instead of swapping the race of the character in existing projects. I say go with the best actor, but when I say representation, I mean us not being excluded. Prior to this, we were excluded. If you have actor A who's black and actor B who's white, and actor B is, not as good an actor as actor B, and the race is not a part of their story, then you can swap it out. But I don't mind that as much as I mind the outright exclusion that happened for most of our childhoods. It's better now. If you're writing a good story and you have your preference between this actor that you work for versus this actor, and you think he's the best one, and he's a white guy instead of a black guy, to be honest with you, if you're putting a story first, then it doesn't matter. But if it is a story that is, written and involves the black heritage, or African American heritage, or African heritage like a Wakanda Forever or Black Panther, obviously there you go. It's already laid out there for you. So, but I don't mind the switching depending on who the actor is. And if the director wants to go, because I've seen black directors do it, go with the best actor that's out there and the best draw that they can get. But what I'm saying before, as far as us being included in general, because before we got nothing. Now we're part of the decision making process, which I think is a little bit better. All right, if like if Barbarella came out in the '60s, that was strong female characters, and no one was saying the '60s that is woke. No, because we didn't use stupid ass terms like woke back in the '60s. All right, we didn't reverse engineer our brains to add a stupid term to our vocabulary. Yeah, fictional characters that have, you know, if they don't have, like I said, if their ethnicity is not a basis of their story or a part of their story, like say for instance, other people um, auditioned for the role of Benjamin Sisko. Avery Brooks got the role. Because of when Star Trek takes place, his color does not affect the storyline. Now, if we were doing Roots, obviously we're going to have a different story. But like I said, but my thing is where we have progressed is Avery Brooks was in the running for that role and he got the role. That wouldn't have happened 8, 9, 10 years earlier. Yeah, I mean 2013 wasn't the worst movie I've ever, but it wasn't great either. Yeah, that's true. Okay, the person who's writing the fight is Jack Kirby because that's still a cop out. I don't know what the answer is. I'm gonna go with Odin. Odin can call on things that Darkseid has. Darkseid's powers are a physical manifestation, whereas Odin is calling on an actual force. Yeah, that's a different stream, but yes, I thought they went for nostalgia, and it didn't work for them. So. My thing is always messed up. I disagree. Hey, William, how you doing? Fun. Do you think they should make another Star Trek movie at Disney? No. We're getting that right now with Picard. And as much as I love this cast and as much as I love this show, sometimes we got as much as we could get out of these guys. Product of his time. It's the second movie that started Hollywood trend of banning pop culture and calling fan. Yeah, the product of his time. That's a good point. I don't know if you can ever kill Star Wars though. All those movies that we complain about made $1 billion each. So. Well, and the one I can't stand is the whole fictional Little Mermaid conversation with these racist assholes complaining to Ariel. It's like, yeah, the fictional mermaid character, and I guess there's another one with Tinkerbell. I'm like, you had a problem with a fictional fantasy character being a certain color. Might want to rethink your life. I continue to find a better version of Actor A. It feels like the new brand of racism where Hollywood will have us ride the coattails of established actors instead of taking the risk of original ones. It's a business, though, Forth. It's a business. It depends on what kind of drawing power that black actor has. If I have, if it depends on what it comes down to. If I have Tom Cruise versus I just name anybody who's not on his level, which is most of Hollywood. Business wise, the production firm is going to go with what's going to make them the most money. Now, when you have a Michael B. Jordan that can draw, and now you're going to have Michael. Now it's a difference of who can draw. Those two characters are going to outdraw a lesser white actor that's not going to draw as much. It's easy to say that, but like I said, the business is to draw. And they're probably just going to go, most directors, like a Spielberg's not going to be a racist, but he's going to pick the best actors for that role. He's going to pick the one, and the production company's going to back the one that can draw the most. Sometimes it's not saying that there isn't racism, obviously, but you know, But sometimes when it comes to mega stars, it's going to come down to which one can pad that investment that borrowed money that those films are made on has to make. An 80s TV show like Miami Vice would have been seen as woke if it was made today because of its diversity. Maybe. I think a lot of people would have just been against it because there's a lot of anti-cop culture out there. But I think Miami Vice was ahead of its time, and I love that show. All right, ethnicity does matter. Your life as a black man automatically changes the experience. All right, I see where this is going. Perceptions of a character is kept as a white man, Asian. Not okay. I just gave you a prime example of a role where that wouldn't matter. My life as a black man applies to my life as a black man. But if I'm playing the role of a character where my race does not apply, then my life as a black man is not a part of that role. Conversely, Sam Wilson as Captain America. His race was a part of the representation of that role. It was part of the story and it was part of him. So it depends on what the story is too. You know, it just depends on what the story is. Sometimes you can make a business decision, you know, and go with the lead that's going to make you the most money. In some cases you can't. It's not there's not a fix all. There's no blanket way to do this, is what I'm saying. You know, I mean, Mike Miles Morales is a diverse character, and see, but here's the thing, though, and his ethnicity is as much a part of him as the Spider-Man moniker is. So you wouldn't race swap something like that. That is written into this story. You know, so that's just where, you know, I'm different with it. I think I saw this. Who put this out? Was this an American entertainment film? I think this was an American entertainment film. It's been a while, but I probably saw it because I do nothing but watch these things. No, this is where I disagree. This is coming from somebody who's a fan of both Miles Morales. I would say he's token. This idea that anyone can be Spider-Man to me devalues the original character instead of being a clone. Make a great original character. No, that his powers are not what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. That's not what it is physically, but that's not what makes the story of Spider-Man. Spider-Man is backbone of Spider-Man, has always been since day one with Peter Parker or day one with Miles Morales, is the relatability that they have with their communities that they represent. Spider-Man represents an isolated kid that was awkward, nerdy, couldn't reach out to anybody, and always wanted to be something else, and he was a different person when he put on that mask. Miles Morales represents just a lot of us, a lot of people, and he represents us in a positive way, and people can relate to that. All right, young black people, young people of Latino origin can relate. So the powers aren't what makes Spider-Man necessary as far as narrative entertainment goes. It's his relatability to the people who are reading it. So no, I have to wholeheartedly disagree with you there, man. And that's fine. That's fine. But there's room for Static Shock and Miles Morales. There's no wrong answer there. Like I said, there's room for both. And even furthermore, it goes to this when you as the viewer, he's an everyman that relates to the public of that comic book within that comic book universe. But to the reader, Miles Morales represents, like you say, Forth, we've been underrepresented in that aspect, but now we had a chance to do it, and do it in a way that relates to the modern reader today. I think I what is hold on. Why is this gonna bug me all night? Let's Scare Jessica. I know I've seen this movie. Hold on. John Hancock. Yeah, I've seen this. I've seen this. Yep, I have seen this. This was made by Paramount. I remember seeing this. This is actually on a. I think I have this on a VHS with a bunch of other movies. I think I have it at the store too. All right. Once again, this is we were talking about fictional characters, and not everything. People who see, as someone who's black, I've never had the advantage of looking at. I've never, as look the disadvantage, in my opinion, looking at America as something that was not a multicultural democracy. I think there are people who do, and I'm not necessarily saying that they're racist, but I think that somewhere down the line, somebody got it stuck in their head that America was not a multicultural democracy, and that if the people who live in America, I'm one of them, and a lot of people that look like me who are part of the country too. All right, Ronald Reagan, that speech he gave on his way out of the White House, and I'm not a big Reagan fan, but the America being a shiny house on a hill, you can go all these other places, but you would never be in the places where you landed. You can come here and buy into an ideal that's America. And I have always, like, growing up on an Air Force base, joining the military at a young age, that America was an idea that included everybody. That includes, the opportunity to represent the country on any level, whether it be a fairy, a mermaid, a general, or a president. All right. There are some people who just can't grasp that, and it's unfortunate because they are dead weight on the society, in my opinion, and they are dead weight on pop culture. All right, guys, this has been going on an hour. Oh wow, jeez, I didn't realize how many people are in here. All right. All right, guys. I'm going to cut it off there. I'm going to go forever. Um, Thanks for welcoming me back after about 4 or 5 days off. I will be on the air tomorrow, probably around 8 o'clock during our Star Trek show, and we are going to be doing our overnighter. I got some special guests lined up for our overnighter, and that's about it, though. Just wanted to get on here for a few minutes and say hi, and get back into it so that we didn't go too long without each other. So thanks for being the best part of this whole YouTube experiment. And one thing that I am going to say without touching on anything specific, and I see some of it going on in the chat, as far as like bringing up other YouTubers, that's fine. But the one, I can't always promise you that the mic is going to work, or that I'm not going to crash the show, or you know do anything stupid like that. What I can promise you is that when you come to anywhere where I'm on the screen, that we are going to talk geek. This is wherever is going on with you throughout your work week, your work day, the wife, the kids, the mistress, everything. Whatever stress that you guys got going on, my goal is to provide you a window to where you don't have to think about anything and you can detach yourself. You can, whatever stress it is, you can untie that knot. I do not want my place on the screen to ever be a cause of tension to anybody. And that is the one thing I can promise you. All right. The one thing I can promise you is that. The one thing I can control is that. And so I'm going to continue to do that. And I will steer, you know, clear of anything else that I think that interferes in that. But thank you guys for being here tonight. And I will see you probably about 15, 16 hours for Star Trek. See you later.